Most people wake up every day with a mind full of their own concerns, responsibilities, and dreams. They think about their work, their family, their health, their future, and the countless little things that make up their daily lives. This is the reality of human nature. Everyone is the center of their own world. While we might worry about what others think of us, the truth is that they are far too consumed with their own problems to focus on ours. Imagine walking into a room full of people. You might feel self-conscious, thinking that everyone is analyzing how you look, what you're wearing, or how you speak. In reality, each of those people is likely thinking the exact same thing about themselves. They are wondering if they look good, if they are saying the right things, if others are noticing their imperfections. They are so busy worrying about themselves that they don't have the time or energy to truly care about every detail of your life. This realization is freeing. It means that many of the fears that hold us back, fear of judgment, fear of looking foolish, fear of making mistakes, are mostly in our heads. We imagine that others are constantly watching us, but in reality, their focus is elsewhere. Even in situations where people do notice something about us, their thoughts are usually fleeting. A comment about what we wear, a brief judgment about our choices, a moment of laughter at our mistake, these things pass quickly because they are not central to anyone's life but our own. Think about the last time you saw someone trip on the sidewalk or fumble their words during a speech. Maybe you noticed for a second, maybe you even chuckled, but then what? You moved on, you forgot. That moment, which might have felt huge for them, was insignificant to you. Now flip that perspective. The moments where you felt embarrassed, the mistakes that haunted you, the times you thought people were judging you harshly, those were just passing moments in other people's minds, if they even noticed at all. This truth applies to social media too. Many people carefully curate their online presence, worrying about how their posts will be received. But in reality, most people scroll through their feeds without much thought. They might like a post, leave a comment, or even criticize something, but within minutes, they've moved on. They are not fixated on every detail of someone else's life because they are too occupied with their own. Even those who seem to judge others harshly do so because of their own insecurities. When someone mocks another person's appearance, choices, or failures, it often says more about their own fears and struggles than it does about the person they are judging. People project their worries onto others, but deep down, they are still primarily focused on themselves. Understanding this can change how we live. It can help us break free from the need for constant approval. It can push us to take risks without fear of what others might think. It can encourage us to speak up, to try new things, and to stop holding back simply because we are afraid of being noticed in the wrong way. Because in reality, most people aren't paying nearly as much attention as we think they are. This doesn't mean that people don't care about us at all. Of course, our close friends and family love us and want the best for us. But even they are still living their own lives, dealing with their own problems. Their focus isn't constantly on us, and that's okay. It means we have the freedom to live without the burden of feeling like we are always being watched or judged. When we accept this truth, we stop waiting for permission to live the way we want. We stop holding ourselves back. We start making choices based on what truly matters to us rather than what we assume others might think. This is where real confidence comes from. Not from seeking validation, but from realizing that we never needed it in the first place. Fear of judgment is one of the biggest obstacles that keeps people from living the life they truly want. It creeps into the mind, making even the simplest decisions feel overwhelming. The fear of what others might think or say can stop someone from taking risks, pursuing dreams, or even expressing their true thoughts and emotions. This fear is powerful because it is rooted in the natural human desire to be accepted. People want to belong, to be respected, and to be seen in a positive light. But in the process of trying to avoid judgment, many end up living a life shaped by the expectations of others rather than their own true desires. From an early age, people are conditioned to seek approval. In school, children learn that good behavior is rewarded, while mistakes can bring embarrassment or punishment. This conditioning carries into adulthood, where social pressures become even stronger. Whether it's choosing a career, deciding how to dress, or even voicing an opinion, there is always a lingering thought about how others will perceive it. This concern can be paralyzing. It can stop people from applying for a job they want, starting a business, or even speaking up in a conversation because they worry about being criticized or laughed at. Social media has amplified this fear even more. Every post, every picture, every comment becomes an opportunity for judgment. People curate their online presence carefully, choosing only the best moments to share, filtering out anything that might be seen as a flaw. This creates a false reality where it seems like everyone else has it all figured out, while the person looking in feels inadequate or afraid to show their true self. The fear of negative reactions can lead to hesitation, causing people to second-guess themselves and avoid putting anything out into the world that could invite criticism. The irony is that the fear of judgment is often far worse than the actual judgment itself. People build up scenarios in their heads, imagining the worst possible outcomes. They picture being ridiculed, rejected, or thought of as foolish. But in reality, most of these fears never materialize. Even when someone does face criticism, it rarely has the lasting impact they imagined. A moment of embarrassment fades. A negative comment is soon forgotten. Most people are too caught up in their own lives to dwell on someone else's missteps for long. What makes fear of judgment so dangerous is that it leads to inaction. Instead of trying, people stay in their comfort zones, convincing themselves that it's better to play it safe than to risk failing in front of others. But playing it safe often means missing out on opportunities for growth and success. The people who achieve great things are the ones who push past the fear, who take the leap even when they aren't sure how they will land. They understand that judgment is inevitable, but that allowing it to dictate their choices is far worse any criticism they might receive. There will always be people who judge, who have opinions, who criticize without understanding the full picture. But those opinions do not define reality. A negative comment does not change someone's worth. A failure does not mean someone is incapable. The only way to break free from the fear of judgment is to realize that it will always exist, but it does not have to control what someone does. Once that fear is no longer given power, life becomes limitless. Choices are made based on personal values rather than external expectations. Risks are taken with the understanding that mistakes are part of the process. Growth happens not by avoiding judgment, but by refusing to let it stand in the way. Mistakes have a way of feeling much bigger in our own minds than they actually are. When people mess up, they often replay the moment over and over, obsessing over how foolish they looked or how others might be thinking about it long after it happened. But the truth is, most mistakes are quickly forgotten by everyone except the person who made them. The world moves fast and people are too busy with their own lives to dwell on someone else's missteps. What feels like a major embarrassment in the moment is usually nothing more than a fleeting event in the eyes of others. Think back to a time when you saw someone else make a mistake. Maybe they tripped in public, misspoke in a meeting, or made an awkward comment in a conversation. You might have noticed, maybe even laughed or thought about it for a second. But how long did you actually remember it? Chances are you moved on almost immediately. That moment, which might have felt like a huge deal to them, was barely a blip on your radar. Now consider that the same applies to your own mistakes. The things that keep you up at night, worrying about how you looked or what others thought, are likely things no one else even remembers. People are naturally self-sick, meaning they spend far more time thinking about themselves than they do about anyone else. When someone makes a mistake, it might stand out briefly, but soon everyone moves on. Life is full of distractions, new events, and personal concerns that take priority over remembering someone else's minor missteps. Even in situations where a mistake seems embarrassing, people's attention shifts quickly because they have their own problems to deal with. In professional settings, mistakes can feel even more terrifying. Someone might worry that a slip-up in a meeting or a misstep in their work will damage their reputation permanently. But the reality is that workplaces are busy environments where everyone is focused on their own responsibilities. A mistake today is often overshadowed by new challenges. Even bosses and co-workers who might notice an error usually forget about it quickly because they are dealing with their own tasks and pressures. Social mistakes follow the same pattern. Saying something awkward in a conversation, mispronouncing a word, or forgetting someone's name can feel like a disaster in the moment. But people rarely hold on to these things for long. If anything, they are far more forgiving than we expect. Many times, they don't even notice the mistake at all. Or if they do, they quickly move past it. The only person who continues to dwell on it is the one who made it. Even larger failures tend to fade with time. A bad performance, a failed project, or a rejected idea might feel like it will be remembered forever, but as new events unfold, those moments slip further into the past. What once felt like a major failure eventually becomes just another experience, one that others hardly recall if they even noticed in the first place. The people who succeed in life are not the ones who avoid mistakes entirely, but the ones who learn to move on quickly. They understand that dwelling on past failures does nothing but waste time and energy that could be used for growth and improvement. Letting go of the fear of making mistakes allows people to take more chances, speak up more confidently, and embrace new opportunities without hesitation. When mistakes are no longer seen as permanent marks of failure, but as temporary and forgettable moments, it becomes easier to try, to fail, and to try again. Growth happens through action, and action often comes with mistakes. But in the grand scheme of life, those mistakes are just small moments that will soon be replaced by new experiences, new conversations, and new chances to succeed. Many people go through life seeking approval from others before making decisions, chasing dreams, or stepping outside of their comfort zones. The desire for validation is deeply ingrained, often starting in childhood when approval from parents, teachers, and peers shapes behavior. As people grow older, this need for reassurance doesn't disappear. It simply shifts to different sources: friends, colleagues, social media, and society as a whole. But waiting for approval before taking action is one of the biggest barriers to success. The reality is that no one needs permission to chase their goals, and seeking approval often does more harm than good. Success is not determined by how many people agree with a decision, nor is it dependent on whether others think something is a good idea. Many of the most successful individuals in history were doubted, criticized, and even ridiculed before they achieved greatness. Innovators, artists, and entrepreneurs often face resistance when they introduce new ideas, simply because people are uncomfortable with change. If they had waited for approval before pursuing their visions, many of the greatest achievements in history would never have happened. Seeking approval creates unnecessary hesitation. Instead of moving forward confidently, people second-guess themselves, wondering if their choices will be accepted or praised. This leads to overanalyzing every step, trying to predict how others will react, and ultimately delaying progress. In many cases, people end up not taking action at all, paralyzed by the fear of disapproval. The irony is that even if they do receive approval, it does not guarantee success. No amount of validation can replace effort, persistence, and resilience. The need for approval can also lead to compromise. Instead of pursuing what truly matters to them, people mold their choices to fit expectations. They choose careers that seem impressive to others rather than ones that fulfill them. They pursue goals that align with societal standards rather than their own passions. In doing so, they trade authenticity for acceptance, often realizing too late that external validation does not bring lasting happiness. True success comes from doing what is personally meaningful, not from meeting other people's expectations. People are often afraid of judgment or rejection if they go against the norm. But those who break free from this fear unlock their full potential. They take risks, make bold decisions, and embrace the possibility of failure because they are not waiting for someone else to approve their choices. This mindset shift is what separates those who achieve great things from those who remain stuck in the cycle of seeking validation. The ones who succeed are those who act despite doubt, who push forward even when others don't believe in them. There will always be people who disagree, criticize, or fail to understand someone's vision. This is unavoidable. The mistake many make is assuming that approval equals support, when in reality, approval is often given only after success is proven. People tend to validate things that already work, not things that are in progress. Waiting for approval before starting means delaying success indefinitely. Instead, the focus should be on taking action, proving ideas through results, and letting success speak for itself. Confidence grows not from being accepted, but from proving to oneself that action leads to progress. The moment someone stops needing approval, they become unstoppable. They take control of their own path, knowing that the only validation that truly matters comes from within. Every person who has ever achieved something great has faced doubt, rejection, and criticism along the way, but they did not let it stop them. Success is not about waiting for others to say yes. It's about deciding for oneself that yes is the only answer that matters. Freedom is something that many people seek, yet few truly attain. It is not just about physical independence or financial success, but about the ability to live without being controlled by fear, doubt, or the expectations of others. True freedom comes when a person learns to let go of the need for validation, let go of the fear of failure, let go of past mistakes, and let go of the pressure to meet unrealistic standards. The more people hold on to these things, the more trapped they become in a cycle of self-doubt and hesitation. But when they release them, they unlock the ability to move forward without restriction. Letting go is difficult because the mind clings to what feels familiar. People often hold on to past experiences, overanalyzing what went wrong and replaying negative moments in their heads. They fear making the same mistakes again, so they hesitate to take risks or try something new. But the past cannot be changed, and carrying its weight only makes the present and future harder. The moment someone decides to stop letting their past define them, they gain the freedom to shape their future on their own terms. Fear of failure is another thing that keeps people from experiencing real freedom. Many hesitate to take action because they worry about what will happen if things don't go as planned. They imagine worst-case scenarios, convincing themselves that failure is something to be avoided at all costs. But failure is not the opposite of success. It is a necessary part of it. The people who achieve great things are not the ones who never fail, but the ones who fail, learn, and keep going. The sooner someone accepts that mistakes and setbacks are inevitable, the sooner they can move forward without fear holding them back. The opinions of others also have a strong hold on many people's lives. Seeking approval and avoiding judgment often dictate decisions, leading people to live in ways that are not true to themselves. But no matter what someone does, there will always be people who have something to say. Letting go of the need to please everyone is one of the most liberating things a person can do. When someone stops shaping their life around the expectations of others, they gain the freedom to pursue what truly matters to them. Social comparison is another chain that keeps people from experiencing true freedom. With constant exposure to curated versions of other people's lives, it is easy to feel inadequate or behind. People measure their success, happiness, and worth against what they see in others, often forgetting that what is presented is not the full reality. The moment someone stops comparing their journey to others, they find the freedom to move at their own pace, make decisions that align with their values, and define success on their own terms. Letting go is not about giving up or not caring. It is about releasing what no longer serves a purpose. It is about choosing peace over worry, confidence over doubt, and authenticity over approval. It is understanding that real control does not come from holding on too tightly, but from knowing when to release what is unnecessary. Freedom is not found in perfection, but in embracing imperfection. It is not found in avoiding risk, but in embracing uncertainty as part of growth. Once a person begins to let go, they experience life in a different way. They stop hesitating, stop apologizing for being themselves, and stop living in fear of what might go wrong. They take action because they no longer need permission. They embrace change because they are no longer afraid of what they might lose. They move forward with confidence, knowing that the only way to truly be free is to stop holding on to the things that keep them stuck. Many people go through life believing that their circumstances, their past, or the actions of others determine their future. They blame bad luck, unfair situations, or external factors for where they are, waiting for something or someone to change their lives for them. But the truth is, no one is coming to save them. No one is responsible for their success, happiness, or growth except for them. The moment they accept this responsibility, they gain the power to take control of their lives and shape their future in the way they want. Taking responsibility means recognizing that every choice, every action, and every decision contributes to where they are today. It means accepting that while life may be unpredictable and unfair at times, they still have control over how they respond to challenges. Blaming others or external circumstances only keeps them stuck, preventing them from making real progress. People who take full responsibility for their lives do not waste time making excuses. They focus on what they can do to improve their situation. One of the biggest obstacles to personal responsibility is the tendency to seek validation or permission from others. Many people hold themselves back, waiting for someone to approve their dreams or tell them that they are ready. But waiting for permission is just another way of avoiding responsibility. No one else can decide when they are ready or when the time is right. Taking ownership of their life means deciding for themselves and having the courage to act without waiting for someone else's approval. Another common way people avoid responsibility is by dwelling on the past. They hold on to past failures, mistakes, or missed opportunities, using them as excuses for why they cannot move forward. But the past cannot be changed. And focusing on it only drains energy that could be used to build a better future. Taking responsibility means acknowledging past mistakes, learning from them, and then letting them go. It means focusing on what can be done now rather than what should have been done before. It is easy to blame circumstances for personal struggles, but the most successful people understand that while they may not control everything that happens to them, they always control how they respond. Challenges, failures, and setbacks are inevitable, but they do not define a person's future unless they allow them to. The difference between those who succeed and those who stay stuck is not luck or talent. It is the mindset of taking responsibility and refusing to let obstacles stop them. This applies to every area of life, career, relationships, personal growth, and happiness. No one is responsible for making someone happy except for themselves. No one is responsible for pushing them toward their goals except for them. Expecting others to provide motivation, encouragement, or opportunities is a losing strategy. The people who achieve the most are those who take initiative, create their own opportunities, and push forward regardless of whether others support them. Taking responsibility does not mean controlling everything or never needing help. It means understanding that even when help is available, they must be the ones to take action. No one can force them to improve, learn, or grow. They must make that choice for themselves. It also means accepting that life will not always be fair, but complaining about it does nothing to change it. Instead of focusing on what is wrong, those who take responsibility focus on what they can do to make things better. Once a person fully embraces responsibility, they stop making excuses and start making progress. They stop waiting for someone to tell them what to do and start figuring it out themselves. They stop blaming their past, their circumstances, or other people, and they take control of their future. Responsibility is not a burden, it is the key to freedom. It is the realization that no one else is in charge of their life. And that is the most powerful truth they can ever accept.